What's up there? What's up, of course, ladies and gentlemen? What's up, everybody, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Victorious Ones podcast. Sorry for someone across my words, of course. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody, for another episode of the Victorious Ones podcast, the place where gaming meets comics, meets sports, meets movies, as well as inspiration. Of course, I'm your host, King Von Jr. I know that this is, not a very conventional, unconventional, sort of time to catch this podcast because I usually do it on Wednesdays, but I'm one who knows how to be versatile in terms of accommodating. So, of course, it's going to be a special exclusive Tuesday night episode of the Victorious Ones podcast. The reason why is because we have a very exclusive guest, someone who is a friend of the program, someone who I have been wanting to have on here, for the longest time. Someone who I, it's definitely an honor to to have on here. Of course, by the way. Of course, for those of you that follow me on Twitter, those of you that want to follow me on Twitter, I'm on Twitter/X at 301 King Von Jr. You can follow the show's podcast, show's Twitter page at Victory Pod 1. I'm also on Instagram at Mr. King Von Jr. You can follow the show's Instagram page at Victorious Ones Podcast. I'm also the social media producer for the Unpopular Views wrestling show, Perfect Plex Talk Radio, on Mondays at 6 p.m. And so, of course, without further ado, I definitely have to introduce someone who is someone of pretty much a legend when it comes to belt collecting. You know what I mean? I only got 3. This dude has 3 times as many as I have right now. People talk about someone who's expert at this and someone who is, I would have to say, the resident, probably number 1 Shawn Michaels fan that I've ever seen. And of course, presents some, introducing some, presenting to others, whatever you want to call it. Without further ado, the one and only Corey.
Vaughn, thank you. Listen, man, look, it's just me and you. I ain't even worthy of that. This is really an honor and a privilege, seriously, to be on here. I appreciate you. You're doing big things with this, man. But let's talk some wrestling, my dude, because that's what we here for, man. Let's talk some wrestling.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, thank you very much. Thank you very much for being on the show. And of course, like I said, for those that are watching by way of YouTube, or want to watch by way of YouTube, youtube.com/@VonRestVirginia. Please make sure to like and subscribe for more of the content. I got to do a cheap plug. But anyway, like I said, of course, Corey, how goes it? And by the way, I want to say that this Corey from Wrestling Martial Excellence, as well as Turnbuckle Talk, of course, hosted by none other than legendary Black Wrestling podcast, affiliate program. And who have been guests on here before, by the way. So I wanted to at least, like I said, introduce another branch of the show. So how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, man. Listen, we might as well look this is where we're gonna start. I ain't gonna take over your show, but this is where we're gonna start, man. We was both in the house for Smackdown on Friday, this past Friday from Washington, D.C., man. Let's talk about it, man. I thought it was a good show, Vaughn. I really did.
Oh man, I was amazed at it, man. Seriously. Like I said, Smackdown. That's what I was going. I always kick off the week of wrestling anyway with that. Yep. So of course, SmackDown DC is always an event. As far as Raw or SmackDown WWE and DC is always an event anyway. Because if anything, I make sure to cross off my calendar on my list. And so I'm glad that they rolled out the calendar during the night of WrestleMania. So of course, as soon as DC came, I said that I'm going to lock that on my calendar right now.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, Vaughn. You brought up a good point right there. Let's talk about that right there. Do you like the way that WWE periodically rolls out this lump sum of events that we get? Because, we're not really used to that. Prior, to the pandemic thing in that time period, we would get, announcements other in this city or this city. It was more an individual thing. But now, the past maybe 2 years or so, we've been getting a lump sum of 15, 20, 25 dates all in a row. Do you like that rollout that they do like that?
Yeah, like I said, I don't really have an issue with that. At least it gives me a heads up to plan things accordingly. You know what I mean? Because because the thing is, even before the pandemic, I was making sure doing my best at least to get the shows like on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, since you mentioned the pandemic, I'm pretty sure. I believe you were. I know that you were there as well. I was on that last episode of Raw right before the world
Oh
shut.
yeah. We had that distinction. We had the last live episode of television.
Oh my gosh, March 9th.
Yep.
3-9. Not only
Yeah.
was it the 21st anniversary of Biggie's death, it was the night
Mhm.
that WWE shut down publicly as far as public attendance. You
Yep.
know, and so that was the night that I think that Agent Orton
Yeah.
yeah. So Edge came out, got his revenge on Randy Orton,
Yeah.
RKO on Beth Phoenix, and so the
Mhm.
week after that, which is crazy, the week after that was 316 Day.
Yep.
Austin 316 Day.
Sure
And so
was.
oh my gosh. And the thing is, of course, like I said, and unfortunately, he knew how to make it work. So,
Right.
Sarko went off nothing. But he had the whole thing with no audience. So can you imagine
Yeah.
if that didn't happen, if
Mhm.
16 Day took place in DC instead of at the Performance Center?
Right.
Oh
And
my
the
God.
thing, a lot and that's so interesting that you brought that up. It's a great way to bring that up because the amount of merch they had made for that day, they had special merch for that day. They had a lot of big plans surrounding that with Austin, and then everything for them to be able to improvise that. That was a big thing for them to do at that time because they didn't know what was going. Nobody knew what was going on at that time.
No, nobody did. You know what I mean? And like I
Mhm.
said, someone like Stone Cold who's great at improvising anyway.
Right.
And I mean, with someone who's got the gift of gab and knows how to improvise,
Right.
who's known for doing podcasts himself,
Mhm.
just switch on a dime.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so
Very much so.
it's like what WWE, has been able to do. And
Mhm.
so as far as what WWE is concerned,
Yeah.
I think a big part of the way that they do these rollouts,
Mhm.
the schedule, it goes along with we're in the era of, like I said, we've been at WWE Network for 10
Yeah.
years now anyway. But
Mhm.
but the thing about it is that now it's more so probably more mass produced than anything ever before.
Yes.
So they mass
Mhm.
produce so much when it comes to merchandise. I mean, look at
Yeah.
case in point, but
Yes.
also with like I said, mass produce as far as like I think because WWE is such high demand, like the brand
Yes.
speaks for itself to the point where where all that all that merchandise WrestleMania 39 at the Superstore sold out at
Yeah, so quick.
snap of my fingers like that.
Mhm.
And so because it's like they mass produce and it puts so much out all at the same time.
Right.
Like all they have to do is just drop product, and and people like
Oh
all right,
yeah.
take my money. Like that fry meme. Take my money.
Exactly. And not only merchandise, but what you just mentioned, the rollout of the tickets alone. The people that are able to plan out going to multiple shows, they can say, okay, they're in this town, this town, this town on these dates. We can hit that. And I know it's clear, it'll sound cliche, but WWE really is a hot ticket right now.
Yes.
And it's funny because a lot of people probably worried, oh, maybe it's gonna be a drop off for the DC show because Roman wasn't gonna be on that one, and that place still had about 12, 13,000 people probably in there. That's crazy, man. Like they're hitting on everything right now. Whether you have your own, vices about what creatively is being done at the moment, as far as a fan experience and what's going on from week to week, from show to show that they're rolling out, from a fan experience of going to the show in a town, they are hitting and they're not stopping either. They're just gaining momentum.
Yeah, they are. You know what I mean? Like it's like when somebody's in their element.
Yes.
Think about sports, for example, right?
Sure.
You and I, we watch sports other than
yes.
We could use basketball examples,
Sure.
football examples. Think of any athlete, like when an athlete is hitting on all cylinders, whether it's Jordan in whatever season you want, whatever finals you want. You know what I mean? Like Kobe, Olajuwon, you name it. You know what I mean? Like when like I said, Jerry Rice, or whoever name. Anybody who's I'm just name dropping whatever.
Yeah, no, please.
You know what I mean?
I
like
know exactly what you're saying.
But the point is, like, anytime like when somebody's in an element, you can see it. When they're firing on all cylinders, like when we watch that game for yourself, when they're firing on all cylinders. Like I said, and the thing is, with the way WWE is going. They're in the zone when it comes to hitting the shots. They're in the zone when it comes to throwing them spirals. They're in the zone when it comes to running the routes, catching them passes, hitting them touchdowns. You name it, they are in that element right now. And the thing is, like I said, pandemic or not, they have not missed a beat. Controversy or not with VKM, they have not missed a beat whatsoever.
Yeah, they have you're hitting it on the head, Vaughn, because what they've done, they've understood they've understood the meaning of taking an attraction, i.e. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, whoever they are focusing their energy around as their main attraction. It's probably really Roman, right? Especially right now that he's back.
Yeah.
That is who they're building everything around for the merchandise, for the ticket sales, for the appearance, and Cody too. To be honest, his line the other morning in the DC area in Virginia was crazy. Just to meet him, people were out there as early as 1 a.m. to meet him, and that's just not a testament to Cody. That's a testament to the brand. The brand has to, and as much as the attraction, Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns or whoever, as much as they need to put out to make themselves be recognizable like that, to want to be sought after for a meet and greet, it also has to be the company being able to capitalize on this person's popularity, and they do that. I would say 99% of the time they probably hit and are able to put somebody out there to say, hey, and that's all their time. And I'm naming these top guys.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a meet and greet for somebody, they always have an excellent turnout with the weekly vodka. That's what Cody's been doing, or cricket, or even Wingstop now. They've done it with like anything that they've done with these business ventures, with these other sponsors that they'll send a superstar to people, because, and not just you and I, but people like us, we're so conditioned because we've been to so many things. We've gone to so many events and meet and greets and all. We're a little bit desensitized to it, but for the average person that watches the product, they don't get to meet a Naomi or a Bianca Belair or a Jade or a Miz, or they don't get to see these people all the time. They're not going to events across the country that they've had multiple opportunities to meet these people. So to them, it's a WWE superstar. It's somebody I see on TV every week. It's somebody I'm not going to get to see in my town again for possibly a year. And they go out and they meet these people. So that's a true testament to the way that company is able to make you care about their talent from the top with Roman Reigns all the way to whoever you want to say is the bottom. So they're definitely cooking right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, and the thing is, like, the thing is, like, I haven't been able to make these meetings, obviously, with my daytime schedule.
Yeah, sure.
Like, also with with the way, I guess, like,
some of that stuff's impossible, man. Please, you ain't got to explain nothing. That Cody one was 11-1. Unless you really had the time to be off and go, people got jobs. Please, you ain't got to explain nothing. You couldn't go. You couldn't go.
It's something called life.
Yes.
And so and the thing is, like, and the thing is, you just work accordingly around that, and the thing is, like, because the thing is, even when even when we're like out for, like, WrestleMania weekend and stuff,
yeah, sure.
And so the thing is, it's not like I have like a schedule of who has, I mean, unless you have the superstore, but it's just like at the same time,
unless there's a built-in time that you paid for something, Vaughn, and I know you can attest to this, your schedule's never locked in. It's never. Unless it's something that's got a time and a ticket, you ain't locked into anything. So
that's right. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I mean, if anything, for the most part, if anything outside of Mania, I'll go like Wale Mania. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And Wale Mania in Vegas is gonna be insane. That's gonna
be interesting. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm thinking about it right now.
I'm trying to think what time that would even be, because that's something and like I said, that's what we doing here. We freestyling. We going.
Yeah, we
WrestleMania. Look, next year it's going to be so much stuff going on. We got to remember we're going to be getting out of these, at least Mania wise. We're going to be getting out probably 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
their time.
Right.
So, I mean, you're still gonna have a night ahead of you. I mean, at this point, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna get down there, and you're gonna have, like I said, who knows what time Wale Mania is gonna start? I mean, because there's so much going on in that city, and that's gonna be, and that's so funny you bring that up because I think people are going. A lot of people that don't go to WrestleManias, you've gone to quite a few. I've gone to quite a few. It's to where people are going to go out there in Vegas, and they're going out there without a plan, and they're going to go out there thinking, okay, I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to do all, and you're going to forget to do so many things because there's going to be so much going on. You're going to be walking around. Oh, I want to go to this. I want to go to this. Then that's just the wrestling stuff. You're in Las Vegas. You're definitely going to want to do other things. So you really got to just, you leave yourself open for flexibility. But like I said, if you got to have something, at least time and ticket, you got to make that. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Especially with that being the entertainment capital of the world. And you know what I mean? Because them in LA are like neck and neck as far as like that adventure type of thing. Because you know what I mean? Because like it's like places like that in New York are like totally different planets from where we are. You know what I mean? Because
it's night and day, literally. It's night and day.
Because like the thing is, like even at the airport in Vegas, real quick, and we're gonna get back to this. Even at the airport, like because I was at the airport at on a layover when I left LA after Mania, and so they even have slot machines in the airport.
Man, listen, let me tell you something. As soon as you get, when I took a picture of it, I gotta find it. I got off the plane and was going down. It literally says on the thing that you're going down the escalator, the baggage claim is this way, the liquor store is that way. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like they're gonna make sure, and like you just said, you can walk off the plane, off the tarmac or whatever, coming into the terminal, and there's slot machines right there. Some people don't even make it out the airport, man.
As soon as you walk out,
yes,
they got
they ready.
Yeah, they got the claws out for the dollars,
pumping that nice air in there and everything. You feel just rejuvenated coming off that flight
in the spring too. Spring too.
Yeah, man.
Like like that heat in the spring in places like that. LA is in Texas, but no joke.
Yeah, man, you are right about that.
Oh my gosh! Like
y'all don't go out to Mania and don't make it to Mania in Vegas, y'all. For real. I don't want to see nobody trying to cash in their Mania tickets to get some money to win your money back.
That's what I'm saying. No, you don't do that. Yes, it's Vegas for one purpose only, WrestleMania. And real quick, what's crazy is since you're talking about slot machines, I don't drink, but I'm just saying like even in LA, I've never seen like I said, I think that's the one place that I know of they even have alcohol in their Target.
Oh yeah, well there are. It depends on the state. I will say that because I think in some parts of Virginia, not really the DMV-ish area, maybe they do because I don't go buy alcohol either. But it's like some of them have them in the back coolers of 7-Elevens, and so some of them do. But that's still crazy to see because in Maryland you're not seeing that. So no.
Nah. Now, like I said, as far as places like out there, I'm sure even in Vegas, you better believe it. I'm just saying, like, all I gotta say is real quick before before we get into that, because it's going to tie in anyway, right? All I gotta say is anybody that's going out there, make sure that like I say, if you're gonna partake in that type of stuff, make sure that you get a ride share. And
man.
You know what I mean? Because make sure you have a designated driver. That's all I have to say.
Make sure, because that's a cheaper price to pay than you being out in Vegas incarcerated. That's for sure. So, go ahead and spend that $100 on the Uber. Trust me, it is what it is.
It is what it is, man. Seriously. So anyway, like I said, other than other than stuff about Mania and whatnot, but like I said, back to the whole thing as far as Roman and Cody, as far as them being sort of like figureheads of the brand. another thing I wanted to say is that the brand means a whole lot because of the fact that, once again, it's like a team thing.
Yes.
You know, because of the fact that you have the right team, it puts you in the best position to succeed.
Yes, it does.
You know what I mean? Because WWE is the equivalent of, you know, of a major empire franchise, you want to name it, like Lakers, for example, right?
Yes,
Or,
absolutely. Yep.
you know, and the thing is, like, some of the greatest players became who they are not just because of their talent, but because they have been in a franchise that has put them in the best position to succeed.
Yes.
To make them special, to make them great. That's what separates them from so many other players.
Yes.
Separates your Magics and your Kobe's from, you know what I mean, like, you know, from you know, like from your Clyde Drexlers, you know, your Iversons, wherever you name it, right? Yeah. And so with WWE, you could very much say someone like Roman, that, like, as great as he is, but let's like I said, let's call it what it is. And it's not a knock on anybody's greatnest. If anything, it's a boost. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, you want to have a great team to succeed in anything, right? Last time I checked, right? Yep. So, you know what I mean? So the thing about it is that, let's say, you know, like I say, your Romans, your Codys, and I even go even further, like, let's say, Shawn Michaels.
Sure.
You know, especially HBK. I think that it served someone like, let's go bring him up, for example.
Go.
I firmly believe that someone, for example, like Shawn Michaels, I believe that he would have succeeded better, knowing we know now, in WWE in more ways than one, let's say, than WCW. Because I mean, he could improvise either way, but I think because of certain opportunities and creative freedoms and things like that, where he was able to get into his element and, you know, and it really become who he became, you know, like I said, with that franchise. Whereas because of the fact that Vince was able to afford him certain opportunities, and even when Shawn took that break, you know, much needed break to heal, because of the team that he was on, you know, like I said, you know, he was able to recover. Like I said, you know, like I said, you know, the company made sure to look out for him. You know what I mean? And so on. And of course, they, you know, like I said, you know, gave him time to heal, gave him room to grow. And so the thing is, I see when he came back, you know what I mean? Like, he was rejuvenating, things like that. Long story short, like I said, I mean, even when we do a what if scenario, it would still turn out that Shawn would have been better in WWF anyway. Because especially at the rate that he was going, you want to talk about a crash out. You want to talk about a crash out.
Yeah, buddy.
You know what I mean? You know, because the thing about it is a blessing that he was, you know, that he was under the umbrella and have those resources. Because if not, I'm just saying,
be here.
He wouldn't be here. He would have been gone by 35.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, and like I said, the things like that, it speaks volumes. Even with Undertaker, because of the team that he played for, that made him into the icon that he is. When he was on a different team, he didn't shine as well as he did. Same with Austin, you know, because Austin had a GM or whatever the case is. Let's call it what it is. Who didn't see his upside,
right?
You know, so someone who discarded him was like, you know, why would we waste money on this guy, you know, who wants to see the dude with black trunks wrestle, and then look what happens. So he goes to the other team and makes them regret it.
Yeah, it happens that way, man. And what you said was so prolific as far as team, because you got to have people to work with. You got to have people to play ball with. You got to, like, your Shawns, your Bretts, your Diesels, Takers, even on down the line now to Roman, Cody. So, like, all these people work hand in hand in the sense of the collective goal of being successful. And they do talk about, you know, wrestling to an extent is a selfish sport.
Yes.
Because you do have to kind of look out for yourself. But at the same time, it's a fine line, because you got to look out for yourself, but you got to understand that you also play a role in making sure that you look good and you look good for the next person, because if you don't look good for the next person, you're not going to have anybody to work with. And then all of y'all are not going to do anything because you'll be out of a job. So you got to make sure, to an extent, as much as you're making yourself look good, you got to make sure the other man is getting up there too. And that's that's their responsibility as well. But from the team collective, you got to make sure you all are looking good, because that's what's going to keep people coming back to see your product. And they're doing a good job of that right now.
Yeah,
it's Smackdown.
Yeah, I know, right? And so, but yeah, like I said, in terms of like, you know, the Smackdown experience on Friday, even without the franchise player, being there, and like I said, one A franchise player, Roman, they were still able to be on the roll, you know, like especially when it came to Cody and the role that he was in, and so and as far as that, and also like I said, you know, just the WWE experience being in this area, you know, like I said, it's spectacular, and also, like I said, I'm gonna get to the agenda in a minute. Also, as far as Raw, and like I said, we're gonna freestyle and get back to some of the Sean things as well. But as far as Raw, what were your thoughts about this past Monday?
So this past Raw was actually, I thought it was decent. I thought they used it to just make sure they furthered along what they were going to get to for Bash in Berlin. I like what they did. With Judgment Day. I mean, that is their focal point for the most part. Also, I mean, Gunther too, even though Gunther wasn't there, you had Randy there. You had things progress along with this episode, and they got some of the underlying storylines in, you know, with the Intercontinental Championship. My fault. Yeah, you had the Intercontinental Championship storyline going, and you got all of these things that aren't necessarily the main storyline, which is Liv and Dominic and Damian and Rhea, and you even got LWO on the entire show. I mean, LWO as a whole on the show. You got Judgment Day as a whole on the show. They were able to implement different pieces without Gunther being there, and you know, who is your world champion, and they're getting things focused to where they're getting through this this pay-per-view, or PLE rather, on Saturday. And they did the same thing SmackDown wise too, which for me, that was another reason you really didn't need a Roman, because if you keep having him out there and he's not going to be on the big show, which is the PLE Saturday, you kind of don't need him there right now. So I'm okay with him not being on the show. And the same thing with Gunther. He's the world champion, but you really didn't need him there. He's over. I think he's already over in Europe. I think it's what they already had him. So you had Randy there. That was what you needed. You had Randy there. That was fine. And like I said, their hottest storyline, you had all of them there. So roll with that. And I thought they did a good job of that. Even with the main event, they went ahead and did Uncle Howdy and Chad Gable, which that needed to happen, because at some point they had to stop, you know, bypassing each other and actually have a one-on-one. And if they weren't going to have it in Berlin, why not do it this Raw? And I thought they did a good job of having it on this Raw. I thought it was a good match. Thought it was entertaining. It showed the range that they want to have with the Uncle Howdy character, as far as Bo Dallas playing it, and it being known that it is Bo Dallas playing it. Because I've said this a while ago, that you want to be careful with how that's presented, because to the average fan that has watched in the past, they hear Bo Dallas, they're thinking of what the position of his character in the company was, you know, 5-10 years ago or whatnot, that he wasn't really that high on the card. So now all of a sudden he's in the main event. So you want to make sure you present that character as being able to be taken seriously, because to the average guy that watched or checks in and out, they'd be like, Bo Dallas, he was a nobody when he was there, you know? So being able to transition that and have a good main event and a main event spot for Chad Gable too, with both of their groups having, you know, involvement, I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, and the thing is, since you were talking about the Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, you know, like if like, you know, as you were talking, the thought came across my mind. All I could think about was Undertaker and Bray Wyatt. right?
Yes.
And so how Uncle Howdy's like offshoot of that, because if you look at parallels, before Taker joined WWF, obviously we know him as Meek Mark. We know him as Meek Mark at the time, right? And so once he went to the other teams, he was talking franchise, right? And of course he became the Undertaker, and which is a transformation like overnight. And the way that they went to and see much of Undertaker's success is how well he's been curated.
Yeah.
Because as a matter of fact, that's one of the things I talked about. Like when I had Black Wrestling on there, a fan was saying, what part Undertaker's great, makes him great is he's the most curated character of all time, right? And so how they're able to carefully protect that character. Now, of course, Meek Mark was was pretty much in a different universe from WWF, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure that there are some people that that may have seen him on WCW and like, wait a minute, there's something different about this dude.
Yeah.
Like you have to be a hardcore fan to like to know who that was before he became Undertaker.
Right. Right.
And with the way that they carefully crafted and preserved that character, the way that they did was a huge testament to his great, as well as just Mark Calloway himself, for him to take it to that level. I think he was the perfect person, to play that part. Nobody else could do it the way he did. And also with especially when it came to Bray Wyatt, rest in peace, how he transformed from Husky Harris to Bray Wyatt, and how that transformation, and with the way they curated him, following in Taker's footsteps. Now you have a third iteration of that with Uncle Howdy. And how they have to be meticulous and pretty much follow the same blueprint. So that the Bo Lee thing is a complete afterthought. You know what I mean? So you have to make it just, they have to distance him so far from that's no longer
people
that comes to their mind.
Because I'm glad you brought that up, because it's echoing exactly what I've been saying with that, is that because of the investment in the character from the Bray Wyatt to the Uncle Howdy, now they have to make sure they present him seriously. And that's what they're doing right now. He's gonna have to string off a couple of wins, I think, because they're walking a fine line where the Wyatts right now are a hot attraction, but you don't want them to slip on the card to where it's just like, oh yeah, okay, the Wyatts are here, or it's like they have to remain looking strong for the essence of the group and the characters in it to stay fresh with everybody. Because if they don't, and they start this losing matches, or they get the come back from commercial and they're already in the ring or something, or if they're not taken seriously, this could fall off the rails. So right now, where they're at now, they have to keep that momentum. I think they can, but they have to make sure they do that, because that's the only way this is going to sustain. Because like you said, if they don't do that, they're trying to make sure people don't even think of who they were as Bo Dallas or Eric Rowan, when Eric Rowan wasn't doing anything, or Joe Gacy or Dexter Loomis or Nikki ASH. Like, they don't want you thinking of. They want you to be they took the approach of not insulting anyone's intelligence, that you don't know who, you're not supposed to know who these people were, because they are explicitly saying who these people are with their previous characters, but they're also trying to make you have the thought process of not remembering how they were in the past, like you said, that they weren't these people that were doing these things deserving to be in the main event, to now they're these main event players. So we got to see how it plays out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, but also I like the tribute to Mankind when Uncle Howdy did Man.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I caught that.
Yeah.
And of course, Chad Gable parallels to Kurt Angle. You know what I mean? Because of course, Kurt Angle, when he still had the hair, like I said, even with All American, outfit, I'm like, and just like even with Chad's mannerisms, his sense of humor, his wrestling technique, there was even a Seth Rollins match, like I said, that almost drew shades, not quite, but like you could tell that they were taking taking plays out of the playbook of Kurt
Right.
Angle or Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 21.
Mm-hmm.
Seth, of course, being in the Shawn role because he
Yeah.
patterned himself like so many people after Shawn, right?
Yeah.
You know, and also, oh, shoot, sorry about that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right then, yeah. But anyway, like I said, the way he patterns himself after Shawn, and
Yeah.
also with Chad Gable, with like I said, and matter of fact, shout out to Janelle from Jobber Tears. Side
Mm-hmm.
note, Jobber Slam was amazing.
Yeah.
Did a great job.
Well, it
But yeah,
was absolutely.
so anyway, but the thing is, the reason why I brought her name up is because because so many times she
Mm-hmm.
she always talks about Chad Gable and she's a huge supporter of his and speaks very highly of him.
Yeah.
And also
Mm-hmm.
and what she was talking about, I went back and started looking at him even more carefully. I'm like, oh, I see where
Yeah.
you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. Especially that match, I was like, now I'm more of a believer than ever before. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like I said, as far as that, you know what I mean, like say, in the sea, his growth to become
Right.
taken more seriously in that Kurt Angle successor role.
Mm-hmm.
So many of these people you see different, certain ones that kind of like feel like
Right.
success, but they're not so much direct clones. And Chad
Right.
Gable is one of them, and
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, it's and like I said, and for him to to bring the best out of Uncle Howdy, as far as like from a rank standpoint, that speaks volumes of of his skills, of his character,
Yeah.
of his, like I said, just his natural ability and everything like that.
That's a great point, Vaughn, because how long has it been since Bo Dallas has been in a ring? It's been what,
Exactly.
about maybe 2, 3, 4 years, almost like 2, 3 years at least. I gotta
Just
think.
about, yeah, just about.
Yeah, because I mean, for him to when he was really, I mean, I don't know, he probably did a little indie work, but as far as on this type of stage, it's been a couple of years. So for Chad to be able, for both of them, but especially like you mentioned, for Chad Gable to have be given the responsibility of also making this look good. There's responsibilities on both of them, but Chad's been there. Chad's been active. So for them to be able to do that, yeah, I mean, great point by you. He's been called upon for these tasks, and he's been knocking them out of the park.
Yeah, he has. He is.
Mm-hmm.
He's been getting home runs, grand slams, left and right. With this, and also another thing about, since we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about factions,
Yeah.
another thing about it is that a faction can be a make or break. We're talking about last six. This can be a make or break, because so many of these people, especially in that group, are one bad break away from getting that future endeavor, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, look at the New Day.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we're looking at where they are now, but the
Mm-hmm.
New Day was a career saver for all three of them.
Yeah.
Because
it was.
because had this flop, they all would have been future endeavor, all three of them.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Because the thing is, Kofi was just spinning his wheels as a mid card Intercontinental champion, U.S. champion, kind of like that. Like I said, Big E was Dolph Ziggler's bodyguard, but there's nothing else really for him to do outside of that. Other than the 5 count thing from NXT, but after that, it's like he was like a fish out of water.
Right.
And it was really drowning at that point.
He was. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was, and Xavier was, especially with him. You know what I mean? And
he never even got off the ground really at that point.
Yeah, exactly. He sure didn't. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, you want to talk about somebody who really had the least identity. And so, like I said, like for them, is they're probably an example of how together everyone achieves more, the acronym for team.
Yeah.
And so so for them, it was like I said, it benefited all three of them, because together they achieved the greatest collective success. They achieved the greatest success even as individuals.
Yeah.
It wasn't until they got together as a team that Kofi became WWE champion. We had Kofi Mania and everything like that. Big E, like I said, becoming a WWE champion as well. Xavier was becoming king of the ring. The New Day made all three of them Hall of Famers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And so yeah, you know what I mean. And like that's their prime example of how a faction can be a lifesaver, and if it doesn't go right, it could be a career destroyer.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah,
Oh
you know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great point. You bring up New Day, and I always think when I think of them, not that they all didn't want it, but I feel like Xavier wanted that to succeed just a little bit more. Just something about when I think of the New Day, and it's weird for people to probably hear this. I think of them. I think of Xavier Woods more than I do Big E or Kofi Kingston, and I think it's because it just feels like the New Day was his project. And that's not taking away from Big E or Kofi that they had no, because obviously they had involvement with it, but it just feels like, I guess because Big E and like you mentioned, Big E and Kofi, they had already started kind of on careers already before this, but this
Yeah,
is their greatest achievement being in this.
yeah,
But this is all for the most part, unless people watch him in NXT a little bit, to the WWE audience, this is all Xavier is known for, and this is what Big E and Kofi are known for as well. But specifically to me, like the embodiment of the New Day to me has always been Xavier Woods.
that's right.
Like, yeah. Mhm.
That's right. Absolutely, absolutely. You know what I mean? That if anything, that New Day is really Xavier Woods' brainchild.
Yeah.
Because if anybody knew that success of that team, over anyone else in that group, it was
Yeah.
definitely him.
Absolutely.
Because if anybody was at the highest risk, it would have been him. And
Mhm.
so, if matter of fact, he was the actual visionary of the group. So he was the one that recruited Kofi and Big E and got them
Mhm.
to buy into the vision. And so it just so happened that they have certain common interests anyway.
Right.
And I think, and also with the New Day, since we're talking about them,
Mhm.
even though this is the twilight of their of their tenure together,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
the thing about it is that they have been game changers in so many ways when it comes to wrestling in of itself,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to black wrestling, because they broke the mold
Yeah.
of what it meant when it came to black wrestling. Because the thing is, you and I both know that
Yeah.
like growing up when it came to black
Mhm.
wrestlers, it was like there wasn't a huge serving selection, if you will. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Sure.
Like
Sure.
the menu was about this small.
Yeah.
Right. Like pretty much like
Mhm.
is barely even when eating appetizers, let alone a
Yeah.
main meal, right? And so like you look at RIP to JYD and like Bad News Brown and Coke
Yeah.
whatever, and then even when you look at, let's say, like Nation Domination, for example,
Sure.
where it's just like as a black wrestler at that time, you only about yay high, like
Yeah.
about where my chin is, pretty much, right?
Mhm.
And so then of course when you have like of course The Rock first and foremost being the breakout star that he became, and then
Mhm.
you have certain others even years later,
Right.
likes of New Day, likes of Bianca, even more than ever
Mhm.
before. It's like a renaissance. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so now it's like like the sky's more than just the limit when it comes to black wrestlers. Like I said,
Yes.
you have inconsistencies here and there, but at the same
Mhm.
time, it's more consistent when it came to this track record of success, right?
Right.
And
Sure.
so, like I said, I'm not negating anything, but at the same time, when you look at, let's say, the New Day, for example,
Yeah.
everybody wants
Mhm.
them to be another Nation Domination. Nothing against, NOD, but at the same time, it's just like
Right.
that. See, the problem is that, that's been so many people's default setting, if you will. Like in the game,
Mhm.
that's like the default go-to as far as like
Yes.
black wrestlers and things like
Black
that.
group. Mhm.
And we all know that us as black people were not uniform. We're not just one, just not just not one, one thing, whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the thing is, the New Day, they're not afraid. They were never afraid to to be three black men who were proud to be fans of of video games, of comics, of anime.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You look at their
Mhm.
look at their gear, cosplay,
Yeah. Yep.
and like I say, and be themselves. But at the same time, when it came to making stands, they knew how to stand when it mattered most. You know what
Yes.
I mean? And so, like, even with the Black Lives Matter thing, it's a whole other story. Like,
Mhm.
that was their idea to take that knee and put that fist up. That was their
Yeah.
idea, right?
Mhm.
And so they could be serious when they need to be serious. They could be
Yes.
serious without being serious, and that's what's so special about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, unfortunately, like it's just like they're falling to that mold of an eventual breakup. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that sucks.
That's what
I thought they were gonna be. I thought they were going to outlast at this point where they were time wise, Vaughn. I thought they were going to at this point. I was like, yeah, there's no point in breaking them up now. But then again, people said that there's no point in ending the streak, and then that ends.
Look how that turned out, right?
Yeah,
2 years later, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I taking 2 losses later, right?
Right.
Yeah.
3.
Actually, 25 and 2, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, as far as that's concerned, but the thing about it is that, that's what's, if anything, I know you had, people who are fans of the Freebirds, but at the same time, like New Day broke ground and shattered records and drew money in ways that those other teams can even dream of. And so that's what made them so special. Yeah. But you know what I mean. And so it's gonna be a tragic day when that break happens.
Or listen, maybe we're looking too far into it. Maybe we're being so smart about it that this is what they want. Maybe they don't ever break up. Exactly.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe they're playing this. Yeah, that's what I'm not saying. I'm just throwing it out there to throw it out there in the universe that, hey, somebody said it could possibly not be that.
Right.
Conventional wisdom says they're probably getting ready to break them up. But you never know. Maybe they're playing us. I don't know.
Yeah, and Odyssey happened to be the vehicle to to speed up that process. Who knows? But also, like I said, like talking about factions. But but another thing, I know that that we've all of course another thing like I said before we wrap up, going to some of the predictions about about like No Mercy and but also like especially when it comes to GOATs. I know we talked about it at at BlurCon, right? And at the panel.
Yes.
And so I'll say it like this. What would you say are some of your criteria when it comes to what you would see as will constitute a GOAT?
It's a great question. Because I've talked about it before, and some people that I've thought are GOATs or belong on Mount Rushmore over somebody else's, it's different for everybody. I know for me, longevity and sustainability, and I mean that is how long did not necessarily your run on the top, but your run of relevancy to an extent last. The in-ring work, the body of matches that you have, promo work is there. It's there. But I think the other two things for me, the longevity and sustainability, which coincide with promo work, and the in-ring work, I think are a little higher for me. And also your appeal to the masses. Like, do people know you? And I get that criteria right there as to why some people will say, oh, well, how do you have this person if they don't meet that? But they're so strong in other areas that kind of didn't matter. And for me, and it's so funny that you asked that. This is a great question, Vaughn, because for a lot of people, Austin, Rock, they're GOATs for them. Zero arguments with that.
Right.
However, for me, I have a John Cena or even a Roman Reigns over them to an extent because Austin's run, his actual run, was maybe only about 3 years.
Yeah.
Rock's actual run was maybe only about 3 or 4 years, where Cena has been dominant for 20. Roman was champion for 4 years. Like, champion, not just his run. He was champion for 4 years. So, it's so for me, and Roman is now creeping up to where on people's Mount Rushmore, he's there. And I know I joke on people all the time. Oh, y'all love Roman, but unbiasedly, as a person who watches the sport as a complete thing, Roman and Cena of the last 20 years have probably been as close as to what people hold in such high regard with Rock and Austin. Those two are probably it. Like, because it's, I mean, and like I said, I know personally for me, obviously, everybody knows Shawn's my favorite wrestler of all time. But
Right.
like I said, as far as a Mount Rushmore, for years I always said a Mount Rushmore was Bruno, Andre, Hogan, and Cena. Those were the people I always said, because Andre was Andre the Giant. I could walk down the street, at least not necessarily now, unless certain demographic, but for the most part, you could walk down the street, somebody knew who Andre the Giant was. Never watched wrestling, they know who Andre the Giant was. Bruno was probably the greatest before the golden era, before the boom of rock and wrestling and all that.
Oh,
Bruno probably he was the greatest wrestler. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And Hogan is Hogan. We know what he's done during the time that he was on top. And John Cena is now the people in that same vein. You can walk down the street and they know who John Cena is. And the only reason, like I said, for me, I would have Cena over an Austin and a Rock is because Cena's been there for 20 years. But I argue with nobody if they said Rock's in that place over Cena or Austin, because of what they did and they were the biggest stars of arguably the biggest period of wrestling in history. So they deserve that same argument. But if people are asking me, that's what I'm basing it on. But like I said, I totally wouldn't even argue, 100% understand if people said, Austin or Rock. But now, Vaughn, we're getting in that time frame where people are going to say, you start asking people now, and not even now, I would say 5 years from now, people will have, you start asking people about a Mount Rushmore 5 years from now, Roman will be on it. Cena is now with Cena's retirement tour too. Because Cena's not fully gone yet, which is why I could see people kind of on Cena. But when he's fully gone, Roman and Cena, one or the other or both, are going to be on a lot of people's Mount Rushmore. They will.
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I have Cena on mine already. Matter of fact, I've been mentioning.
I do too.
I mentioned a BlurCon too. I had Rock, Austin, Cena, and just for the sake of WrestleMania legacy and longevity, Undertaker. Just for the sake of that.
And Taker's another
greatest character of all time.
He is literally the greatest gimmick in wrestling history to me and a lot of people. He's the greatest gimmick in wrestling history, greatest character creation in wrestling ever.
Absolutely. Because with all due respect to Andre, I feel as though Undertaker, when it came to that attraction, I think because he reached a more modern audience, and I think his reach has dug even deeper. You know what I mean?
Oh, we're out of the era, Vaughn. You're right. We're getting out of the era of where Andre the Giant is going to be mentioned in a lot of people's Mount Rushmore. We are. And I totally understand that because I know of him. I mention him. Oh yeah, you're exactly right. I know of Andre and I know of Bruno, so I mention them because I do know what they did. However, like I said, Vaughn, 5 years from now, people's Mount Rushmores are, because even Hogan's moving out of that light to where, regardless of the stuff he's doing anyway and his personal stuff, but from a wrestling standpoint, he is even becoming dated now to where he's not in that Mount Rushmore argument's always going to keep a revolving door because time's going to keep moving. As long as time's moving, those people that people are going to consider, that's going to keep moving too. But like you said, Cena's on yours, right? Cena's definitely on mine already.
Yeah.
And it's Cena is just, and it's crazy. We mentioned Cena, and it's like people are going to make a special argument for Randy, and Randy's up there too.
Yeah.
But it's like I mentioned, it's something about what they did with Cena and the presentation they did with Cena. Randy's almost like Triple H of that Attitude Era that people always mention Rock, Austin, Taker. The foil of them all was Triple H. That's Randy's the foil of a lot of those Ruthless Aggression era guys that people love. Yeah. And it's getting to that point now that Randy, unfortunately, I think because of the presentation of being the guy that was the guy that the favorite had to beat, he's going to get left off on a lot of people. And it's not out of malice from people, but he's going to get left off of a lot of people's Mount Rushmore because of the role he had to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm gonna say it like this.
Hmm.
I mean, matter of fact, of course, we all know, Mike Knox. Even
Hmm.
make a strong argument for both for and against Roman. But his argument for Roman outweighed his argument against Roman.
Yeah.
And he brought up
Hmm.
logistics, he brought up numbers. But as far as Randy Orton, even though he has longevity,
Hmm.
unfortunately, because his best years were in the same era as John Cena.
Yep.
Certain
Jordan
accolades,
effect.
Jordan effect, right?
It's
And
the Jordan effect.
so the thing is, certain accolades,
Hmm.
kind of make him fall short.
Yep.
If anything, at best, I have him between top 15 to 20 all time if he was on an all time collective ranking.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's just my estimation. I'm not pushing on nobody.
I mean, some people, Orton might be top 10.
Top
to be
10, yes,
honest.
people have top 10. Even if that's float your boat, whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing is, because he was in Cena's, less collectively Cena's shadow, just like with Edge, just like to a certain extent, even Batista. Because
and even Kurt Angle to an extent.
Even Kurt Angle, because they were in the same era generation as John Cena, that's what makes their resume kind of take points off, if you will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so and you know what I mean? So as far as that, same thing when it comes to Rock and Austin. Same thing now, even when it comes to someone like Roman. And so and like I say, it's just, and the thing is, when it comes to greatness, I was having this argument with another podcast, somebody else talking about how greatness, can be surpassed, but I feel like there's levels to it. There are certain people that are easier to move past than others, at least by my estimation. Whereas when it comes to your upper echelons, like your Rocks, Austins, Romans, even Brett and Sean, like I said, it's just like certain marks you gotta meet. And
Roman's numbers don't lie, Vaughn.
They don't lie. They don't lie. They don't lie at all. And also, like I said, also a couple of things I meant to ask. So as far as like I said, as far as Shawn Michaels,
sure.
Which version of Shawn Michaels do you prefer?
I've been asked that before. I'm always partial to the first run. But I think, like I said, I know that's my guy. I know it's gonna sound. He has had, if people really wanted to be for real, he's had 2 Hall of Fame careers.
Yes.
His first run was Hall of Fame worthy alone right there if he had stopped in 98 and never came back. But that 02 to 2010 run is it showed his range, because Shawn was not only considered a big talent, but he was the person they put in the ring to put over a lot of these big heels, because he put over Angle, he put over Edge, he put over Orton, he put over Jericho, he Triple H, like you name it. Shawn was that guy that they used as that big time babyface that every fan got behind, to use that as the catalyst to say this heel or this guy, that this champ is the guy. And look what he was able to do to hang in there with Shawn Michaels.
Yes.
But Shawn doesn't have that branding of being Shawn Michaels if he doesn't have that first run.
You got that.
So that's why. So for me, I'm always, because I was a fan of his since the beginning, I'm always partial to that first run. And it's not a knock on the second run, because the second run, I feel like for me as a fan of his, and I always said I was so happy because I was 14 when he retired in 98.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I got to see him, but him coming back when I'm 18, I got to go see him as an adult. So I got the best of both worlds with my favorite wrestler of all time. I got to enjoy him as a child, and I got to enjoy him again. I got 2 different careers of him, and I got to enjoy him again as an adult. And I was able to do things on my own, with my own money, go to shows on my own. Like I said, I was there, for his last match. I don't count anything else past WrestleMania 26. But I was there for his last match. I was there for his Hall of Fame. I was there for Taker and HBK 1. So like, I got to see all of these things as an adult, but my fandom of him came when I was a child. So he's always going to be special to me in that aspect. But yeah, to answer your question, the first run, I'm always going to be between the two. It's always the first for me.
Yeah, and also like that's the first for me as well. As a matter of fact, on
Mm-hmm.
2K24, I picked WrestleMania 10 Shawn Michaels more than the
Mm-hmm.
other ones because I feel as though 85 was way too low to of a rating to give him. So I shot that thing up.
Yeah.
As soon as I unlocked him, I said, "Nah, we shooting that thing up to 94. Forget all that." You know what I mean? You know, as far as that, because his first run is like Jordan with the first run from 87
Yes.
to 93 from the first
Yes.
3 feet. That's
Mm-hmm.
what sealed his legacy. Those were his best years,
Mm-hmm.
from an accolade standpoint, from an athletic standpoint. That's
Mm-hmm.
what set the foundation. So when he came
Yeah.
back for the second, you know, for the second half, for the second,
Mm-hmm.
repeat, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, that boosted him more. But the thing is, what he did before that is what made him, you know, like I said, that was just icing on the cake when he came back.
That's what made it important.
Yeah.
It made the second run important. Same with Jordan, same with Shawn.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have that first run, you don't care he's coming back for the second one.
No, not at all.
Just as simple as that.
Exactly, plain and simple. Because because the thing is, him and Brett, like, even though they didn't have the mainstream crossover appeal, I think that they are goated in the sense of being cornerstones, especially.
You know what though? No, Vaughn, people know who they are now. I think not back then, like you're saying, but now people know who. Yeah, they do. Yeah. They do. I'll give them that. They do. Listen, people definitely know. People know Bret Hart. Like, people are casual. They know, but people know Shawn now because Shawn's doing everything right in NXT. So they love him.
So all right. So like what I meant by that was because
no, I know exactly. Yeah,
I guess because Brett's name didn't get mentioned enough at Blur conference.
Oh, they did. Yeah, but listen, you know what? And I jokingly knock on Bret because Shawn's my guy. I always will be. Bret's my enemy. I hate Bret. But no, seriously, Bret, for the longest, Bret is a institution of wrestling. Like, he is a cornerstone to where, for everybody that likes your Jerichos, Benoit's, Angles, you gave all these technical people, everybody pulls something from Bret. So you can't say anybody for 90% plus of whoever's wrestling now has an influence from Bret Hart. Period.
Hello. That's what I'm saying. Thank you very much for pointing that out, because like, full disclosure, and like I said, we're going to get to this predictions real quick at the end. But the thing is, full disclosure. Let me go and say this right now. This is a disclaimer. As the host of this podcast, this place, zero tolerance for Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart slam.
Yeah.
Say it right now. You know, so if y'all want to have your little BS hot takes or whatever, y'all keep that somewhere else. But as far as this, like I said, and the thing is, I respect the fact that you could be that unbiased to know Bret's influence and to know Shawn's influence as well. Because outside of, like I said, your typical, Rock, Austin, Cena, like that, whatever, when it comes to the GOATs, as far as like purely just in ring as well as influence and cornerstones, is Bret and Shawn. They have to be, in my estimation, if they're not in a top 10 conversation, throw everything else out the window. It nullifies your argument altogether. You know what I mean? So, like I said, the fact that Bret wasn't mentioned like that, they mentioned, what's his face? That was like, come on now, it's right. You know what I mean? That's that. Like, we got to do better than that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We got to do a whole lot better than that. And the thing is, the reason why I slightly like Yoda's name, but nobody really heard it, but because dude in the audience was just going off on a rant. I'm like, you know what, numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? So 5 championships, the cornerstone of Canada, the standard of Canada, that speaks for itself. Numbers speak for themselves. Numbers never lie, right? And so Shawn, Mr. WrestleMania, his accolades speak for themselves. All the match of the year awards and all the type of stuff like that. What else can be said that hasn't been said already?
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, both lost the championship to somebody we just lost with Psycho Sid. How about that? Both lost the championship to him.
Rest in peace, Psycho Sid. R.I.P. Rest in power to my man, Psycho Sid. Straight up. But yeah, like I said, and also, if let's say, what are some of your top 5 titles that in your collection?
Oof, Winged Eagle will always be number one. That is my favorite championship of all time. I get asked that a million times, and without any hesitation, that is my favorite championship of all time. Classic Tag is also up there for me. I always just loved it as a kid. Something more modern. I do like the in my collection, I would say.
You don't even have to be in yours, but just
You know what? No. But still, I will still keep it there. I will. I do. People hate it, but I really like the current Intercontinental Championship. I do.
It ain't bad.
It's not. Now I do agree with people that it should have had some color in it, but I'm okay with that it doesn't. So I would say, yeah, Winged Eagle Classic Tag. Actually, to be honest, and this is just super biased, but Winged Eagle Classic Intercontinental Classic Tag are 1, 2, and 3 for me. Seriously. Like I said, the current Intercontinental is also good. Not that it's over top of anything, but I do like that design on that one. I also like the UK Championship, and I know a lot of people don't really give that any love, but the detail in that one I thought was pretty good. That's off the top of my head. I really would have to really sit down and think about it. WCW US title is also up there. Big Gold is, I think, reason why I didn't say the Big Gold is because I think it's so universally known is that I don't even think I need to say it for people to. That is the most recognizable. I would say anything that's not a wrestler, other than the WWE logo, the Big Gold is probably the most recognizable thing about wrestling to the average person that of wrestling that isn't a person. So
right, absolutely, yeah, most definitely. So it's
no. What about you? Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's what I'm getting to now. That's what I'm getting to now. First and foremost, I mean the podcast logo.
Yeah, I was gonna say, look at the background.
Look at the background. That, I mean, what else can you say? That's number one.
And people gotta understand we're in our, well, I'm 40 now. My gosh, but we're in our, mid to later 30s and 40s almost. Like this is what we grew up on.
Yes.
People gotta understand that we see, we see a lot of kids, we see a lot of the spinner belts out there, and for us, a lot of people hated it. But I remember when it came out, Vaughn, and I said that thing's gonna sell. And I said it back then. I was like, it's going to sell because the kids love it. Like you see them all. That is a belt. I can tell you now with confidence of knowledge, that belt never stays in stock. It sells out constantly.
Always. Even to this day, even at superstores and all that type of stuff, it still sells out. It's a high demand. So, all right. So let me say
Winged Eagle for you. What else?
Winged Eagle. I would have to go with the classic IC title with the one that Shawn Michaels.
And
you know what I mean. So that I would go with the Ruthless Aggression version of the WWE title, the undisputed title.
Oh, the undisputed. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I will go with Big Gold and number 4.
Big Gold. Yeah. That's a good one. I mean, you named it, and that's fine. That even I always give that a pass. I would give you a pass on that if you wanted to say 2 others, because I think Big Gold for everybody. Like I said, it's the most recognizable probably piece of merchandise in wrestling outside of a person. So
it is.
But Big Gold, okay. So you got Big Gold, undisputed version 2, where Ruthless Aggression.
Yeah.
You got classic IC, Winged Eagle.
And number 5. Number 5. That's why I'm twisting my thumb right now. It's between the modern WWE title or even the current NXT championship. Because
you don't hear that.
Because the thing is, I'm kind of like at a with that. Maybe it's just like kind of like off the top of my head right now. Even though, actually, you know what? I'm looking at probably like the US title, the one that was in the Ruthless Aggression era, like the one that had the little
Yeah,
flag
a lot of people like that though.
Yeah,
so I can't knock you for that one.
Yeah, the Eddie, the one before Cena.
Always hated the size, Vaughn. That's why it's not for me. It's so small.
Yeah.
I get it for them, and it's been made known that WWE tries to discern the size of the championships for the eye test that which title was most important. I always thought that one was. I just didn't like that it was so small. I really didn't. I know that's something minor, but the design of it was great. I just always thought it was to have it, it's so small. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Because like I said, I was kind of at the limit as far as like the number 5 spot. That's not the one I want.
A lot of things you could throw in there, ain't it?
Yeah, because those are the main 3 that were fighting for the top 5 spot. And also, a couple things as far as predictions. Like I said, I was going to do.
Go for
it. Predictions for bashing.
Yeah, let's do it.
So as far as the matches, we have for the undisputed WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. Who do you got?
Oh, Cody's winning that. If anything, to me, Vaughn, I feel like they're using this first match to possibly set up for a second, which I don't know where it happens.
Right.
But I feel like this is the development further of the story. So I think we're getting another Cody and Kevin match, but I think Cody wins this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to maintain his title reign. And and a side note, I think Cody is to what Roman kind of like what Dusty was to Flair, but that's another story.
No, I hear you. No.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So as far as that, the women's tag titles. Jade and Bianca, aka Team Renaissance, if you will, versus the Unholy Union for the women's tag titles. Who do you have?
I think Jade and Bianca get them back. I don't think that win that they just had on at Smackdown we were at in DC, I don't think that was a fluke. I think they ride that momentum. I think they do get them back. I think they do.
I think so too. The leather strap match. Of course, Punk versus Drew. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre.
Punk can't go down 2-0 to Punk.
No,
I mean not to Punk, to Drew. I'm sorry. As polarizing and as a position that Punk is, that losses don't hurt him. I think right now, because he's just getting back, he does need to have some wins. I fully expected him to lose at SummerSlam. I don't expect him to lose here because I think they're going into the Cell in Atlanta, and I think that's going to be the rubber match.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think Punk wins that one too. I'll go ahead and say that way ahead of time. If they have that, Punk wins that one in the Cell too, and that's going to be a bloodbath. But I think Punk wins this one. I do. Yeah,
and of course, this NXT women's tag match looking great right now, and so with the next mixed tag match, we'll run things real quick.
Yeah,
Priest and the Terror Twins, quote unquote, whatever that name is.
Yeah,
Terror Twins, like a 1985.
Right, I know, right?
So Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley Terror Twins versus Liv and Domino, Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Who do you have winning that match?
I think I've got to go with Priest and Rhea winning this because they both took really big losses at SummerSlam and they've both got a rebound. I think this is a situation where I don't think you have them lose again, even though it would only further benefit Liv and Dominic because I think Liv's eventually about to drop this to Rhea anyway. But for the sake of the 2-on-2 vibe, Priest and Rhea I think are winning this.
They have to. I like I said, I go with that as well. I agree with Punk winning. I agree with Bianca and Jade as well as the other predictions. Now, World Heavyweight Championship, Randall, as Janelle will call him. Of course, Randy Orton versus the ring general himself, Gunther.
It always sucks when it's the person that's the first title defense for somebody because more than likely that person ain't losing on their first defense.
No,
I think that's the same case here. Randy is, I just mentioned it about Punk. Randy is at that level that the losses don't hurt him. And I don't see Gunther losing the championship anytime soon. No. Gunther's going to win this one. I think this is where they have Gunther win decisively with no kind of missing of a shoulder up or whatever. I think Gunther wins this one.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be him in a decisive manner as well. It's not gonna be a fluke because Gunther's got too much prestige as far as championships. 75% of his career in WWE, he's been champion. So I think that prestige is going to continue.
Yeah,
especially over someone as legendary as Orton. You know what I mean? So that if to kick his title off, kick off his title reign like that, he's got to have a victory. That carries so much weight, and who better than someone like Orton to be a litmus test?
I agree.
But it's like Shawn was a litmus test for so many people, right? All right. So finally, last but not least, let's go to the NXT No Mercy predictions. Now, as far as the NXT Tag Team Championships, Chase U versus the Supersonic duo of Axiom and Frazier. Who do you have winning that?
This one's interesting because it feels like they're trying to do something internal again with Chase U. That there's maybe some strife somewhere with that, but I think there's a situation where they're gonna eventually break off Axiom and Frazier to do other things, and I think they lose this. So I think Chase U is actually going to retain the championship.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're overdue for a more lengthy title reign anyway. Next up, of course, we have the NXT Women's North American Championship: Kalani Jordan versus Wendy Chu.
This is another, and this is not a knock on Wendy. It's just this is another match to help solidify and further cement Kalani Jordan as a major mainstay. I think Kalani Jordan wins this. I don't think she's losing to Wendy Chu. Wendy will have a good showing in it, though, but I think they're trying to really establish this North American Championship for the women, and they're doing a good job with Kalani kind of being this, underdog upstart to now she's the champion. Same thing they kind of did with Roxanne in the beginning, too. I think Kalani wins this one.
I think so, too. Keep that momentum going. Of course, NXT Men's North American Championship, Oba Femi versus Tony D'Angelo.
Oba, that's not even, man, listen.
Yeah.
That's a guy, honestly, Vaughn, that might be a guy they might just bring. He might not ever lose that. Or if he does, he's going to lose it in like some kind of ladder match or multi-man match or something. I don't see Oba Femi getting pinned or submitted for that championship. And he'd be the deciding factor of him losing it. So Oba's winning that. That's probably the easiest one to predict.
Oh yeah, that's a no-brainer. I mean, you don't have to think for a second for that one. That's Ali right there.
Guy's a monster, man.
That dude's a world beater, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's like amazing. Now, next up, when it comes to NXT Women's Championship, Roxanne Perez. Roxanne, you don't have to turn the light off. Like the police song. Yeah. Roxanne Perez versus Jada Parker for the NXT Women's Championship.
If this match had been happening any other time other than now, Vaughn, I would say I would probably pick Jada. But because it's happening now, and I feel like I don't think Roxanne is losing it at a No Mercy. I think they're going to save that for a bigger stage. I think Roxanne gets the win here, but I'm saying that with caution because, like I said, I think if this match happens any other time other than now, I think Jada might actually win it.
Yeah,
but I think they're saving Roxanne. I think they're saving Roxanne for a call up relatively soon. I just don't think it's this soon. So I don't think she loses the championship.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, last but not least, NXT Championship, Mr. All Ego Ethan Page versus the man whose name, as soon as you say it, he appears, Joe Hendry.
WWE has been really doing something groundbreaking with their relationship with TNA. And I think it continues here because the relationship has been so good. I think Joe Hendry gets it. I really do. I think especially because he did not win the TNA championship. Not that I think WWE has any influence on their booking, but I think it can be taken into consideration that you've got to ride whatever momentum right now you have with Joe Hendry, whether he's signed to your company or not. if you have the opportunity to put a championship on him and have him on your TV legitimately for a reason,
yes,
I think you pull that trigger. I think Joe Hendry's going to beat Ethan Page and become probably in. You got to think back. It's very, very few, if any, that's a legitimate signed talent to a different company holding a WWE championship other than Taz was the ECW champion, but he was WWE. But
right.
all what I'm saying is, Joe Hendry, I think, is winning this. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes, I totally agree with that. And so, of course, with that being said, if anything that, of course, that does it for this episode. And, of course, Corey, thank you very much. And, of course, like I said, the night is still young with NXT. So, of course, even though we went a little overtime at the same time, is no issue with you because of the fact that, like I said, someone who's brilliant when it comes to wrestling history.
Appreciate that.
And I mean, your IQ is pretty much second to none.
It takes somebody to talk to about that to be able to exhibit the said IQ. So kudos to you as well, good sir. You can't have a conversation like that without having it with somebody else that knows what they're talking about. So Vaughn,
Absolutely.
You have a great show here. You're doing amazing, man. Seriously. And it was really my pleasure to be here. Anytime you want me back, let me know, man.
Absolutely. And also one more thing, of course, we give plugs. Where can they find you?
Oh yeah, right there at my Kicks My Fix on X, IG. I'm talking wrestling, belt, sneakers all the time, and we'll be on Turnbuckle Talk back again next week on Tuesday at 6:35. Had to think about it. I was like, oh, we've been off, but we'll be back and we'll be recapping Bash at Berlin and everything. So that's where I'll be, man.
Oh, you better believe it's same here, 6:35.
Yeah.
I definitely be tuned in to listen. By way of spaces. And so, of course, like I said, thank you very much, for being on. And so let us continue to enjoy the rest of NXT and have a great night.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely, as always, man.
Peace.
See you. All right. So, of course, I want to thank my guests for the night, Corey, and of course, aka nephew Corey. As we call him. And so of course, before I go, I definitely like to, like give birthday shout outs. Of course, as far as today, August 27th, Yolanda Adams turned 63. Sergeant Slaughter turned 76. August 29th, Michael Jackson would turn 66. Stan Hansen turned 75. Of course, August 30th, Frank Hampton would turn 76. Robert Parrish, basketball Hall of Fame, turns 71. August 31st, Chris Tucker turns 53. Jeff Hardy turns 47. Mickey James turns 45. And John Thompson, of course, September 1st, John Thompson would turn 83. And that, of course, as far as those are your birthdays. And of course, before I go, I would like to give a word of wisdom. Is that of course that God desires for us to love our neighbors as ourselves. And so, of course, it's important, especially in this climate, to have more unity than division. As perfect love casts out all fear. And of course, you're victorious because greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. When you put God in first place, you don't have to worry about being in last place. Please make sure to listen to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Make sure to watch it by way of YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. And may this day be the very best day of your life. And RIP to Psycho Sid.